And what do you think made them stand out from what they're doing? I did a profile of Travis a couple of years ago for Vanity Fair, and a lot of it had to do with his early years, most of which were not great. He presided over 2 relatively failed startups, one completely failed. Very difficult relationships with almost every investor he had, and everything ended in tears for this guy.
Including his own.
Yeah, and he just created a lot of trouble wherever, it just seemed like he was at the nexus of trouble and then was like, I can't believe this trouble. And so a lot of this stuff was, to me, to be motivated by rage about that. He had sort of a rage at his heart that is very different than other entrepreneurs, and also older.
Yeah, so I don't think necessarily that
I want to know what you think motivated him.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't know if the rage accounted for his success, certainly for his ultimate success with Uber, if we call it that. I think there was a period of time when that would have been a less controversial statement.
Yeah.
Now it's a more controversial statement. He's clearly, and I talk about in the book, he's a stubborn, persistent, relentless, ruthless person, and so those things became important in Uber. The part of the story that I think is really interesting, he was part of this company. He was part of the founding team of this company called Scour, which, as you say, went completely belly up, and then he did something that was
essentially not Napster.
A pre-Napster, but less successful and less meteoric. So it started and failed more quickly than Napster did. And Red Swoosh, the next company, was an iteration of that technology intended to be legitimate. It was legitimate. They sold to corporations instead, but it took forever to get going. And then it was down to one person, him, at one point. And ultimately, he sold it for what nobody in the Valley would consider, a lot of money.
And he had a lot of successful friends around him.
Yeah, and the point I was driving to is that happened in, off the top of my head, 2008, I think. I've been here since 1997. I tend to know the people who are modestly successful. I never knew the guy. I met him in 2010 after Uber was starting to go up. Now, I only point that out to say that he wasn't one of these A-plus players.
No.
But by the time Uber came around, he was a player in that world. But we could quickly name 20 people who were more important. So there's a lot of luck involved. This was like the right thing. And by the way, right when he decided that he was going to go to Uber, again, I love it. Like I love all these references to him having founded Uber, which simply isn't the case.
Well, although you could argue, I did a book on AOL. Steve Case didn't found AOL, but he kind of founded it, and he made it.
And Howard Schultz didn't found Starbucks, but he made it. Right. Not to take away from him, but Garrett Camp's idea was an important one.
Sure.
Travis Kalanick was around when they started operations, so he was the founder.